Hey everybody, and welcome. My name is UltraDavid.
I'm James Chen.
We're going to be talking about the Masters Series put on by Canada Cup Gaming. It'll be this coming weekend in Calgary.
That's right, and this is going to be a round-robin event between 8 players, first to 7. It's going to be a lot of Street Fighter.
Oh yeah, a lot of good stuff.
It's going to be really high-level Street Fighter. It's going to be really fun.
Yeah.
And 7 of those players have already been determined. In fact, determined since 2010. You know, what Lapchi, the organizers, decided to do was take all the winners of the previous Canada Cups and invite them all here for this. There's an extra qualifier at Wednesday Night Fights from put on by Level Up, and then the last qualifier was the winner of Evolution 2014, just because he won Evolution 2014.
Yeah.
So, and then the 8th player is going to be determined by an open tournament that's just going to take place right before the Master Series. But 7 of the players are known and have already been established.
Correct. Those players are Daigo, Kazunoko, Luffy, Pepidai, Snake Eyes, Shen, and Xiao Hai.
That's right. And so we're going to be talking about Xiao Hai.
Xiao Hai won Canada Cup 2013.
That's right. And Xiao Hai is a player from China, very, very strong player, very good at all sorts of fighting games. And I mean, you could almost kind of say he was raised to play fighting games. You know, I mean, his nickname literally means small child. You know, like a small child. So is because he was known for playing fighting games ever since he was a little kid.
Right.
And there's stories like he lost the tournament or he would lose, and his parents would actually scold him for not winning. So you know the
he was like the Tiger Woods.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you know he definitely takes this very seriously, and as we said, he's good at so many different games.
Yeah.
You know, including here, he is a previous top 8 Evo player.
Yeah.
And yeah, here he is right now, and it's really interesting to have him in this event because I feel like he might be the biggest wild card of this entire event.
I think you're right. Yeah. We haven't seen him in international majors this year as much as we did in the previous couple of years.
Yeah.
So he just showed up more often, and so we sort of had more to go on at the time. But not so much the case this year, and on top of that, we're not sure which character he's going to go with.
Right.
Most recently, we saw a tournament that he played in China where he went with Evil Ryu.
Yeah.
But before that, in September, he played and he used Yun and Cammy. So I'm just not sure which one he's going to end up with. Of course, that's going to change the matchups he plays. But all those characters have similar-ish game plans,
right?
Okay? And they definitely go about it in different ways. But they all want to sort of be at this similar range and then get in some way. And then go forward drill or
big damage, you know?
Yeah, or dive kick or whatever. They have different ways of going about it, but they have very similar game plans: offense and big damage, and that's his game.
Yeah, and the trickiest thing, honestly, is so he's a multi-game player, as we said, but one of those games that he really likes to play is KOF.
Oh yeah.
And one thing I will say about KOF players is every time you see a really high-level KOF player, I swear they know how to use the entire cast of the game, right? And so we know these 3 characters that Xiao Hai can play. Who knows what other character he's gonna bust out all of a sudden. One of his main training partners, for example, Dako, at the Canada Cup, where they were in the team tournament, Dako just pulled out DJ out of nowhere and OCV'd the one of the Canada teams, right? And both of those players have that ability to just bust out these characters. So we're going to be talking about all these matchups from the perspective of these 3 characters, but who knows what the heck other characters he's got hiding.
Be something totally different.
Exactly.
Not very confident.
And look, Xiao Hai likes to pick strong characters, right? Who knows if he's been practicing up Poison, for example, who a lot of people consider a very strong character. Maybe he even has a Fei Long sitting in there all of a sudden.
Maybe after 1.04, Rolento got so many buffs. Maybe he's Rolento.
Right, exactly.
It could be anything.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it's going to go. But, I mean, for most of these matchups, even with the 3 characters he has already, we're already going to be like, I don't know. You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, for example, he's going to be going up against Daigo, right? Sure. I mean, he's going to be playing against all these guys. But let's talk about Daigo first.
Okay.
Daigo's probably going to go with Evil Ryu or Ryu, right? Now, Xiao Hai, like we said, plays Evil Ryu. Yeah. But is he really going to go for this kind of mirror match
That doesn't seem like a smart call. I don't know.
Yeah, like I feel like Daigo is gonna out-footsie you if you play a mirror match. Because when it's mirror match, a lot of it kind of comes down to fundamentals, especially with a character like Ryu, right? And in that case, I don't feel like you're gonna out-fundamental Daigo.
Yeah, and it's not even a knock on Xiao Hai. I feel like that's the case with almost anybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so Cammy might be a great choice
Yeah,
because Daigo has had history of losing to Cammies in the past, and in fact, Xiao Hai beat Daigo at Evo with Cammy versus his Ryu, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that would probably be a really good choice for him to go. And obviously, Cammy not as strong as she was in 2012.
Right, but still good.
Yeah, but long sets, I'm always going to have to go for Daigo in this kind of situation.
I think that's interesting, but so they've played at Topanga League a couple of times.
Right.
They're both in AE 2012, so previous version. But in 2013, Daigo won that 7-4.
Okay.
In 2014, though, Xiao Hai won that 7-4.
There you
so
go.
they've both proved to the other that they can win in long sets in first to sevens.
Okay,
exactly.
Okay,
so
there you go. So
it's doable, man.
Yeah, and so especially if he does catch Daigo off guard, maybe with Cammy, and then if he switches to another character, he can keep it different. So he can force Daigo to keep trying to adjust at a more sharp degree than Daigo could possibly do to Xiao Hai. So
okay, all right. Let's talk about Xiao Hai versus Kazunoko. Xiao Hai beat Kazunoko 2-0 in Losers Finals Canada Cup 2013. Like we said, Xiao Hai won Canada Cup 2013. But in doing so, he beat Kazunoko.
Yeah, and again, this is it just depends on the character again. Like similar kind of situation. I don't know if Evil Ryu would be the best against Yun necessarily.
Yeah.
Maybe Cammy might actually be a better choice.
That seems like the best of those options to me. She has the ability to knock Yun out of the air. She can play offense and do big damage. She has nice mobility on the ground and can stay away from things. So I feel like she's a good pick.
Right. Yeah, but again,
not much confidence in that.
He's been practicing a lot of Evil Ryu, like we said. That was the most recent character he's played. So it's hard to say. Yeah. I mean, honestly, most of these matchups, this is going to be kind of how we're going at it because he really just has so many options. So.
Xiao Hai versus Luffy. I don't think they've played, as far as I know. So Rose, for sure, from Luffy.
Yeah, but this one's interesting because I think Luffy's character actually does pretty decently against most of Xiao Hai's characters, right? Like,
that makes sense.
I think Rose does well against Cammy. I think Rose does well enough against Evil Ryu, and same thing with Yun.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
So on this one, unless he busts out some strange character from out of nowhere, I feel like Luffy has an advantage on this one. But the ability for him to switch characters a lot and maybe keep Luffy guessing might actually help him.
Yeah,
so,
okay, that makes sense. Xiao Hai versus Pepidai. I don't think they've played. Pepidai hasn't played a lot of the players in this list so far. So, so it'll be El Fuerte for sure for Pepidai, and then Evil, Ryu, Yun, or Cammy. According to Pepidai, who might be a little bit of a down player when it comes to his character's matchups. But he says that Fuerte goes even against Evil Ryu, loses slightly to Yun, and goes even with Cammy.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, Yun would obviously be a really good choice.
Yeah, it seems like it.
You can punish a lot of things with jab lunge punch a lot easier. Quesadilla bombs and such.
It's great punishes. Yeah, absolutely. Good pressure, good mobility.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting to me, though, because I know, like, for some of the earlier versions of Street Fighter 4, a lot of Fuerte players always considered Cammy beating Fuerte, mostly because of dive kick, like Tiger Knee EX dive kick, beating up things like Propeller Tortilla. The fact that Pepidai actually considers that an even match is actually kind of interesting to me, but I guess that means maybe sticking with Yun in this match might be better. Okay. So.
Okay. Xiao Hai against Snake Eyes. Again, I don't think that they've played, but Snake Eyes is Geef. I think similar to you were talking about with Luffy, how Rose as a character seems like she does well against each of the ones that we know that Xiao Hai's used this year. I feel the same way again about Zangief. I feel like Zangief does at least evenly against all of Evil Ryu, Cammy, and Yun.
Yeah, I can see that. I can
Yeah.
see that. Yeah, it would be really interesting if all of a sudden he just bust out like some, like
He has Akuma all of a sudden.
yeah,
Oni,
or something, you know, or
Chun-Li,
the
like-
jury or something
jury,
like
yeah.
that, right? So I mean, it'll be really interesting because, like you said, all three of those characters, I feel like Snake Eyes should be able to outplay. Maybe Yun might even be the best choice out of those three because Yun is a little more movement heavy, harder to lock down for Zangief kind of situation, but at the same time, I can't.
I guess I just feel like Xiao Hai should have something to deal with
Right,
that situation,
yeah,
right?
uh-huh.
He plays enough characters that I would think he has something that he'll go to, and I'm not sure if it's any of these three.
Yeah, that's a really intriguing matchup.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what Xiao Hai is going to do in that.
Kind of
one,
tough to plan for if you're Snake Eyes.
Yeah, that's
Right?
true. That's true,
Yeah.
actually.
Okay, so Xiao Hai against Shen.
Yeah. By the way, I think that's going to be Xiao Hai's biggest strength. I think he's going to be the hardest person to plan against.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because he has all these different characters, right? So, I mean, it is kind of unfortunate that all three characters do have this, like they're not as varietous, you know,
Yeah.
various, I should say. Varietous
Varied.
is not a word. Varietous is not a word. They're more varied. They're not as varied as, like, a different set of characters.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're varied enough that it's hard to, like, I'm going to plan for Cammy, I'm going to plan for Evil Ryu kind of situation, so.
Okay, Xiao Hai against Shen.
Mm-hmm.
Xiao Hai won when they've played a couple of times in Topanga
Okay.
leagues.
Okay.
In 2013, Xiao Hai won 12-10, and in 2014, Xiao Hai won 10-8.
Okay, but I mean, it still sounds like they were all super close.
It does.
Yeah, so obviously this could go either way as well.
You know, it's tough because they both have shown in the latter half of this year that they each have at least 3 characters that they're bringing to the table, and so I really don't know which one is gonna appear
Yeah.
in this kind of a situation when you think that your opponent has lots of different characters, and when you do yourself. The first game is of a huge importance.
Yeah.
Because it really sets the tone. Whoever wins the first one gets to respond if the second player switches to some new character and wins. Then, as the first player, you're kind of climbing this ladder, right?
Yeah.
But you climb the first rung, so
Yep.
you get to the top a little bit faster.
So, yeah, because the thing is, if Xiao Hai decides to go with Evil Ryu, Dalsum is a great pick against it because we've obviously seen Shin beat Daigo in that same matchup. But then that's a terrible character against Cammy and Yun, for example, right? So Xiao Hai can switch to that character all of a sudden, and then that means Shin could switch to Gen, who might do, or even Poison, for example.
Yeah.
You know, and this is probably, I would say, going to be one of I would not be surprised if they change characters every game.
Yeah, it's going to be up in the air.
Yeah,
I mean, and especially with the results that we have from before. Of course, previous version of Street Fighter 4, but 2 very close sets. So
Right.
all we know is 2 very close sets, and they have a bunch of different characters.
Yeah, but one thing to know about Topanga is that I believe they're forced to stick with their characters, right? Are they allowed to change characters?
Ooh, I think the rules have changed a couple of times. One time, you've had character lock, and a couple of times there have been 2 possible characters you can bring in. I'm not sure which ones these were.
Okay, yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if this one went like the full distance, 13 games. You know, obviously, it looks like the Topanga was win by 2 because one of them was 12 to 10, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if this one just went the distance.
22 games. But, yeah.
And it'll be fun too if they do keep switching characters because that'll just be cool to see. It be a display of multi-character prowess.
Right.
It'd be so cool.
And then if you're ever behind on like the character selection and you win one, and all of a sudden you're on the higher rung of the ladder, it's like that's huge.
Yeah, exactly.
That's huge. So he's going to be one of the Xiao Hai is going to be one of the more fun players to watch, just because I think he's a little bit less predictable. We haven't seen him as much this year. Don't know which character he's going to bring.
Yeah.
Some of these players have not played against him before, so he's going to be more of a wild card, I think, than most.
Biggest wild card out of this tournament. Most unknown coming in here, but again, if I had to give an overall style, though, definitely more of an aggressive kind of offensive player.
Yeah.
Not sure how his defense is going to hold out, so he may even be counter rushed down by some of these players.
Yeah.
So, but this will be great for him. I mean, obviously, he's going to get to put his skill on display here, show a lot of talent. He's such a strong player. He's been playing fighting games for a long time now.
Yeah.
So,
and he has experience in these big moments. For example, the tournament that you and I watched a little bit before the start was from China, and it had all the production value you could have. It was on this fancy stage. So being in this kind of situation where the venue for Master Series is very nice. And there's a nice stage. That's not going to throw him off.
Yeah, and very interesting to note about the tournament that we were talking about. He went up against Dark Jiahua, and Jiahua actually got a huge lead.
Yeah.
It was first 2-7, I believe it was. And then Xiao Hai came back.
Right.
So that's actually a really good testament to his mental fortitude.
Right.
You know, to be able to come back in that set. And I don't think he changed characters or anything at all. He just went with Evil Ryu versus Ken the whole entire time. And to make that kind of comeback after getting a pretty big deficit is going to be super useful, obviously, in these first to 7 matches that are coming up at Canada Cup. So, and again, he's going to play every single one of these players, including the 8th player that we don't know yet.
Yeah, right.
A lot of potentially strong names could still make it in here.
Oh, yeah. So, there's some good players showing up.
And so this is going to be exciting, very fun, and you know, one of the cool things about Xiao Hai is that we're talking about a wild card, and obviously both of us are like, I don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really cool to see how all of his matches are going to pan out. You know.
Yeah.
So.
All right, that's this coming weekend, Master Series by Canada Cup Gaming in Calgary. You can catch it live, of course, if you are able to make it to Calgary. But if not, you can check it out on stream at twitch.tv/Capcom Cup.
Yep, coming up this weekend. Make sure you tune in. And if you do, you know, we'll see you there. So, all right, thanks. Jobs.
Yeah.
This is going to be some incredibly high-level Street Fighter here, and the best part about it is we're going to be able to see how these guys adapt.
Yes.
And so that's going to be really, really interesting to watch.
Right. It's fun to watch a 2 out of 3 or a 3 out of 5 because it can be fast. And it's unpredictable. But different sort of thing watching a long set because you really get to see how somebody adapts and the sort of the ideas that somebody comes in with and how they leave. It's a different story. All those things are very, very fun to watch. So.
Yeah, and that's going to be this coming weekend on twitch.tv/Canada Cup. Obviously, if you can't make it there live, watch on stream. If you can make it there live, definitely try your best to make it there. We just saw a photo of the venue. Looks really nice. Really, really nice. Like full theater seating kind
nice
of thing
stage.
like that. Yeah, it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah.
So and also, as we mentioned, there is the open tournament beforehand for the 8th spot in there. So if you want to, see if you can slip your way in there, go for it. Yeah. But it's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, that'll be on twitch.tv/Canada Cup. This coming weekend. We'll see you there.